to create opportunities for the 800,000, 1 million young people will churn out every year from our education system because we spend a colossal amount of money to develop these people. Having said that, listening to my good sister, Susan, I agree with you 100% that that whole system about what we need to do, and I am very excited, I'm very happy with what the counties are doing. The counties you have mentioned, we're going to, whatever it is, that's why we have a line in our budget to support pyrethrum. We are working, we are putting some resources in cooperative development, we are putting some resources in Matter Seeds, and we are willing and ready to partner with you so that we can turn around the pyrethrum sector and create opportunities for farmers and for us as a country to leverage on it to get foreign exchange and to export our products. I am looking forward to, once we finish with the budget, to a proper engagement between our ministries, both trade, agriculture, with our county governments, so that you can tell us where the gaps are, and so that we can see what resources do you have, how can we backstop, how can we fill the gaps, so that we can all move together. Same thing with cotton. Same thing, and I listened to the very, very passionate drive by my sister Wanga about cotton and about palm oil. These are the two sectors that we have deliberately put in our plan because they hold a very huge potential of not just incomes for farmers, but also creating opportunities for jobs for our young people, so that the 650 billion we spend every year on our young people have some meaning. And to promise you that we've also aligned in that sector, and hopefully we will get the private sector to come on board so that we can work on the aspects you have said about ginning, because it's not practical and it's not correct that cotton produced in Homa Bay is ginned in Baringo. It doesn't simply make sense. You know, we have to rethink about that, and that is part of the resources that we have factored into our budget to see how we can assist the private sector with seed capital to provide some of these interventions. And also, the reason why I sent Moses Kuria to Indonesia is precisely because of palm oil, because we want to be clear. The president of Indonesia had sent his minister to see me, and then I sent Moses, and now the president himself is coming, because we have to unlock the jigsaw around edible oil. I know I had a meeting with the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, and they were telling me about that, you know, we have some people who have invested in packaging and doing a bit of refining at the tail end. I think we need to do more than that. It is not sufficient for us to import finished goods from all over the place, package it, put a brand, and imagine that it's a Kenyan brand. It's not. I mean, let's be honest. We are lying to ourselves, you know. We have to get it right from the beginning. And I know it's easier to live in the comfort zone because you're making a little money and it's okay, you know, but you know, it's not okay. You know, we are spending $1 billion every year to import edible oil that our farmers can grow, and they can make that $1 billion. I am very happy that we are all thinking in the same direction, at least with the governors. We are thinking in the same direction, and I hope we will create a big enough team to be able to persuade our private sector to come along with us. please, tafadhali. Yeah, so that we can all think together in that direction. We are working with what we can do, the whole of Western Kenya, from Kitale, Bungoma, all the way Siaya, Kisumu, Homa Bay, Migori, Vihiga, Kakamega. Those are the people who should be producing for us edible oil because they have the capacity to. And we have the market for them. They don't have to go looking. We have the market to buy, because we are already spending $1 billion. That $1 billion is money that is available in our market that we can use to buy your products. But you see, we have to get on with it. It cannot continue to be any discussion any further. We all know what is right and what is wrong. Muthomi Njuki, I agree with you, the pulses issue. I called you. I called the governor of Kitui. I called Seth. I called, who was the other person? I think those three. And I gave this man called Moses Kuria instructions. Moses, I told you what to do. You know, chukua microphone, ambia hawa watu, hii pulses, what are you going to do? Wapi microphone, patia huyu mtu anaitwa Moses. You know me and you are discussed.
Your Excellency, as if you expect to have a different answer, which is not possible. So, Governor Muthomi Njuki, by close of next week, we will have bought all the dengos from your county, from Makueni, and from Kitui, and from Embu at the right price. So we need to have a conversation around that price. And why I'm very happy, this is a very good problem to have. Because a few weeks ago, we came to you because we didn't have food in this country. And you told us, just guarantee me that you'll buy, these people are human tractors. And you have proven that they are real human tractors. So by close of next week, I'm going to dispatch my teams, and once we agree on the price, we'll mop up all the dengos. And that should be the trend for future, for the cotton, for the paredram, for anything. It is not our fault. It is not the farmers' mistake that they are too hardworking. We have to do what we need to do as a government. Thank you. Asante.
Okay. So when we finish this meeting, I expect a meeting between Governor Muthomi, Governor Seth, Governor, my good friend Mutula, and Malombe, Governor Malombe, on the issue of pulses. It is going to be tragic if our farmers are going to get stranded with a crop and a product when we've just walked out from a food insecurity situation. It is not prudent, it's not intelligent. In fact, let me not say it's foolish, because it is. So let us let us sort that out. I already I spoke to the managing director of KNTC, and I told her what to do. Moses, you need to just get things moving because we cannot continue that way, and we need to begin to demonstrate the power of aggregation. And we have all agencies which can buy the pulses. We have our NYS, we have our military, we have many people who are ready to buy that product. Let me also say, I have listened to the private sector very carefully, and they have told us about global competitiveness, which is good. They have told us about all the other good things that we need to do. But we need to be a bit more clear on what do we need to do as government. Because you have mentioned, my good brother from Kenya Association of Manufacturers, you have said the problem is the export levy. The export levy is not there now. We are proposing. We are proposing. So why is it a problem before even we put it in place? And the reason why, let's be honest, the reason why we are putting the export levy is because of what Madam Ngumi here said. Is she still here? Yes, she's there. She says she's been importing and trying this or the other. She's now moved in the last 5 years to manufacturing from locally, local primary products. That is the transition we need to make. It is the transition we need to make in cement. It is the transition we need to make in steel, the billets. It is the transition we need to make in paper. And that is why we are saying, and that is why we are putting this levy, is so that those people who have taken the step, like Ms. Ngumi here, those people who have taken the step to produce locally, we support them by imposing a duty on those who want to continue importing raw materials and packaging things here. You know, let us just be, let's be honest. Ama tunaelewana namna gani? Yeah. How are we going to create these jobs? How are we going to create additional jobs in our manufacturing sector? How are we going to stop the hemorrhage of foreign exchange if we are importing what we can produce locally? That is the story, Kenyans, please. So, tafadhali bwana mkubwa, sasa tumeweka tax kwa simiti kwa sababu we have enough cement factories here which should be employing Kenyans. And we should stop, you know, going to bring cement from, I don't know where, when we can use our own local materials, make the cement, hire our own people, stop the hemorrhage of foreign exchange. I was having a conversation with Anne. We are importing saline water. Just imagine, we're importing saline water from all manner of places. Saline water is just water, in short, with just, you know, imewekwa tu msalaba kidogo alafu inakuwa. You know, imeombewa alafu inakuwa, you know. So really, I mean, we have to be serious as Kenyans. It cannot be business as usual. So the best we can do for those people who are in transition, the best we can do for the people who are in transition is for them to tell us, okay, what do they need to complete the transition? We are ready to engage. But to tell us that when they lay to, let's go on, like, no, we have to think about that. We have said, for example, we are imposing a 30% duty on imported furniture. Why are we importing furniture, good people from China and all manner of places, when we have our young people from Tibet, we have wood products, it can be made locally. Explain to me, give me one reason why we should continue to import furniture from wherever. There is no reason. Sindio? Hakuna, there is no reason. So we just stop it, alafu tuendelee na ile kazi tuko naye hapa. We will shortly have developed the industry enough, not just to make our own products, but when we give them a market, they will improve in their quality, and shortly we will be exporting furniture to other places. That is the trajectory we want to go. That is what is in the finance bill. We have also said, why are we importing paint? For heaven's sake. Ngumi here says it is possible to manufacture paint in Kenya. Why are we have said in our budget, we do not have to import paint. Let us support local manufacture. I like what my good friend from the pharmaceutical has said. He has said that we need to encourage local manufacture. That industry is like 300 billion shilling industry. 70% we are importing. 60% is generics. You know, these are just things we can manufacture locally here. And that is why we have done two things. We have said in the budget this year, deliberate. Number two things, we have said manufacturers will pay of human vaccines and medicine will pay a lower corporate tax than the others to give leverage to those who want to manufacture in Kenya. Number two, we have removed tax on equipment and materials for manufacture of pharmaceuticals in Kenya. Again, to support our universal health coverage and to make medicine affordable in Kenya. It is there in the budget. I don't know why people are not reading. I don't know whether we understand one another. So we are being deliberate. When we are talking about, when you see there, we are saying pharmaceuticals. We have made policy interventions in the budget to clearly support the manufacture of pharmaceuticals in Kenya because it will save us foreign exchange. As my good brother said there, it will give us the assurance that if anything happens anywhere, we can manufacture our own medicine and we will not be stranded with sick people. Are we together? So that is a value chain that we need to work on, and we have made policy interventions. We have put it in the budget to support that sector. And if there is anything, for the people who work in that sector, if there is anything additional you want us to do, please tell us, because we want to engage with every sector so that we can support the incentives around there. I have heard you clearly, and you are right. On the housing, I have heard you say two things. Mesema, governance is an issue. Number two, you have said, maybe not now, maybe later. Yeah? Those are the two things I had. So, governance, yes. Governance is an issue. But let me ask you, good people of Kenya, are we going to stop a whole project that can hire 1 million young people every year, a project that will support our industrialization agenda, those who produce cement, those who produce steel, those who produce doors, those who produce hinges and windows, the architects, the quantity surveyors, the electricians, the masons, the carpenters who are supposed to work in that space? Are we going to stop the whole of that exercise because we are not sure about governance? I have given my personal undertaking. The buck will stop at my desk. And I intend to take responsibility. I will not assign it to the next person. Because the millions of young people in Kenya who are walking our streets are an emergency for us. We cannot continue to say, maybe we should try it another time, maybe we should try it another day. I want to persuade you, good people. Yeah? We must sort out the governance issue. And I have said that we are going to develop the structure. Kenya Association of Manufacturers, we want them to sit in the board. We want every other person to sit in the board that will manage the housing fund, so that we can all see. I mean, unless you're telling me as the Kenya Association of Manufacturers you don't trust yourselves. Unless you're telling me you have a serious governance problem. You know, and if you do, you'd better tell us so that we can help you sort it out. So we will sort that out. Number two, you've said you don't know whether we should do it now or later. Let me tell you, and let me just say, on that issue of governance, it is actually the classic case of throwing out the baby together with the bathwater. You know, we must be careful. We must know, how do we sort out governance without killing the big project that is supposed to turn around our country. You have also said maybe we should wait. Maybe the situation is not correct. This project has been with us for 5 years. We started in 2018. This is now 2023. We are in the time scale of Singapore, we are 60 years late. I don't know whether we need to be 61 years late. Surely. I think let's just agree. It is now or never. Let us just do this thing and let us get ourselves moving. It is a little tightening of the belt here and there. I know my good brother of e-mobility, you are spot on. And by the way, in this year's finance bill, we have put the tax incentives you are asking for in this year's tax bill, finance bill, on issues of taxation, on e-mobility, on issue of chargers, and I have instructed Moses to make sure that they are with clarity, including the lithium maneno, because I want to launch that program later this year, and we want to transit from using fossil fuels, from using diesel or petrol or kerosene on our piki-pikis and two-wheelers and three-wheelers, and save ourselves the kind of money. We are spending $500 million every month to import our fuel products. We can cut that down by half if we go the direction that Goodman is saying, if we go the direction that we have put in our finance bill this year. Tunaelewana jameni? So, you are spot on. And I just needed, I spoke to the chair of the finance committee 2 days ago, just to make sure that nothing untoward happens on that particular subject. On the slaughterhouses, I think the governors have had. I think we just need to put our act together. The complaint, it is small. Rao is exaggerating it kidogo. And by the way, Rao is selling very good leather. The leather you buy in Dubai, Rao can sell it to you at 1/3 of the price. I am a testimony. I have bought leather from Rao at 30% what you would get in Dubai from our own livestock. Yeah, not imported. So thank you very much, Rao, for what your sector, and it is true. We've had several meetings in my office. We've had several meetings elsewhere, and that's why we have put resources in that corner. I want to ask my good friends, governors, what is important is how to manage our slaughterhouses, the knives we are using, the flaying. You know, many times we lose a whole hide or a whole skin because of the knife we are using, and it's not expensive. We can all agree on how that can be managed, and we can also all agree on how that whole infrastructure is set up so that there is no duplication and there is no overlapping. We can structure it properly. I think we have some homework there as policymakers, especially the governors and myself. We have some homework on what to do in that particular section. I know, for example, the Nini in West Pokot is complete. The abattoir in West Pokot is complete. I know the one for Isiolo is almost complete. We have one in Mandera. We have one in Wajir. We have one in Marsabit. We need to, consolidate our thoughts and see who does what. I know, for example, we have a big effort that we are working on in Naivasha on leather, and and I was supposed to negotiate more land for Naivasha, so we are working on it. And of course, we need to have at least 4 or 5 clusters of where we can produce our leather products. So I think my team has worked on some clusters. We will need to discuss with the counties so that we agree on where the clusters will be. We will also need to agree on how we can put together, common user facilities. We can employ many people if we have common user, like what we have in Karioko, that can produce how many pairs of shoes, I think? 3,000 per day. We can do that elsewhere. And the project we are making is we want to see how it is possible for us, all our 14 million kids in school, instead of wearing plastic from all manner of places, they should be able to wear shoes from our own livestock. And we can be able to get those shoes better with a price that is affordable to all of us, and we can agree how that can be funded. I see many counties funding school milk. We can also do school shoes. And we can partner to make sure that all our kids are sitting good in school, not bare feet, like the way all of us did when we went to school. So I also, this morning, I was talking to Governor Waiguru about how we need to bring our TVETs, because you had Rao say footwear training on footwear and that whole ecosystem there. And I was speaking with my dear sister here, very relaxed. I was talking with her. She was actually the first person I called in the morning. And I was telling her that we need a small meeting between the Ministry of Education and the counties so that we can harmonize the curriculum between your vocational training institutions at the county and our TVETs, so that that whole chain speaks to our manufacturing. How do we train others at the lower level of certificate in the lower cadres? And by the way, I am willing to help. The way we have improved on our TVETs, we can do the same with our vocational training centers that are under the counties. So we can, again, that is a space where I requested Governor Ann to provide some leadership, and then we can talk and see how we can support people like Rao and all the others in that space. Let me also say, Madam Gumi said there are so many people that are being trained by different people. And they are wondering how we can mainstream these people who already have skills. The good news, Madam, I don't know, did I get your name right? Ngumi. Ngumi, yeah. That we now have recognition of prior learning as a mechanism of bringing those people and certifying them as people who have skills, and they can be given certification papers and they can go forward and work. So we have changed the law so that our TVETs can issue certificates for recognition of prior learning, especially people who have skills whom they have developed because of where they were working. I don't know. I think, I don't know whether I have answered many of the issues that were, energy. Yeah, there is one issue around energy. And even before I go to energy, I know Wanga talked about seeds. And I agree with you, Wanga, that if you give out seeds that do not, you are in so much trouble. I don't know, there is somebody who gave out seeds. Wambora ran. Wambora was impeached twice. Over seeds. So it's a very risky venture, I agree. But I have discussed with my minister for trade. In fact, I am going to personally visit, I think, 2 countries, the ones we agreed, who will assist us with cotton seed, because we need scale. You know, we are running short of time. We may not have time to develop our own in good time. So we might have to import some seeds. So I will travel to 1 or 2 countries in the next maybe in the next 2 weeks, so that we can be sure. And they have asked me to go and speak to the president of some 2 countries, let me not say which ones, so that they can allow us to import their seeds and see how we can fast track that process. That is very important to us, because we need to move together. On issue of energy, I think the immediate intervention that we are making is, number 1, on the special economic zones, we are trying to develop a tariff for the special economic zones. That's number 1. But that will not be enough, you know. We have to think of all the other manufacturers that are not in our special economic zones, and what do we do with them? It's a conversation we are having. 2 things that we are doing, as Jir was saying, the governor of Wajir, about KETRACO. We are changing the model in KETRACO. We were using government money to develop transmission lines. We want the private sector to develop transmission lines. We will pay them a willing charge when we use it to transport our energy. The law is already there, so we are in discussion with people who can invest in transmission lines. That's number 1. Number 2, we've just agreed on reforming Kenya Power and Lighting Corporation. It is overdue. We have a lot of manenos there, so we are dissecting it so that we can, because number 1, we are losing between 20 and 30% of all our energy, which we pay for, but we don't consume because it gets lost somewhere. It is because of many things, let me not say. So we are working on Kenya Power. We have agreed on our development partners on what we need to do. We have new management at Kenya Power, so we are working at it, because the cost of power, as has been said here, is a major issue, especially speaking to our global competitiveness. I think that is one of the issues Caro will tell us we need to do something about. So I hope I have said, I think I've spoken to the issues that were raised. If there are any other issues, I am still available to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And yes, you have